Students returning to school in the Keller ISD today will not find the Bible or a graphic novel adaptation of Anne Frank's diaries in their libraries now.
They are some of the books removed as the district responds to a crackdown by Governor Abbott and fellow Texas Republicans.
That all said, where my real concerns lay is that our society is going backwards. I reckon it's much harder to repair a cultural balance sheet than it is a political or a financial one. And in almost every measure of how society is stacking up, we are doing pretty poorly.
But Anne Frank?
Everyone on the committee unanimously voted to put the book right back on the library shelves.
Still, on Tuesday, the district sent this email to all principals. In summary, every book challenged last year has to be reviewed again and pulled from shelves in the meantime. It doesn't matter if they were approved by committees like the one Hawes was on.
And it's gone.
The Bible is even being pulled from shelves. It was challenged last year. And district leadership clarified to staff Tuesday, saying the school board created the snag. New review procedures were passed this month. And Tuesday's move comes after May's fiery school board elections, when conservative groups like Patriot Mobile Action spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to back more conservative school board candidates in Tarrant County.
So in your mind, there are two offenses here. We're taking away a historical book, and then we're also...
And they're also taking away the voice of parents.
Hawes says she's done playing by the rules because they keep being changed.
We read the books. We discussed them. We decided that they were suitable for children's shelves. And they come in, this small group of people, and they say, no, we don't like your outcomes.
While we are not yet on the scale of looting that takes place in the USA, if you look at what happens there, it might give us a glimpse into our own future. There are so many of these videos of people just walking in, taking what they want and walking out, and security guards are just standing there because it's not worth their while. Politicians have made it okay. Believe it or not, we do have steal to order gangs here too. My friendly checkout operator told me about her experience with them, including with that man who took all the meat, which she supposed was to sell to people out in the street. And then, of course, on top of this lawlessness, or maybe because of it, we've got obvious drug use, and that's decimating lives and devastating entire communities. It seems everyone knows someone who's always wasted on marijuana or messed up by meth or cooked from coke. And it seems so common now that it feels kind of normal. And actually, some of our political types do want it to be normalised. They reckon that illicit drugs should be treated just like alcohol or cigarettes. But bizarrely, many of these same people want to ban smoking tobacco, but they're more than happy to encourage people or allow them to smoke dope. Now, with advocates like that, unsurprisingly, research in America shows that more young people are now regular dopers than smokers in the States. I mean, if you're a politician, it's one way to keep the community zombified, isn't it? Now, I don't have that hard data for Australia, but based on what I see in the streets, it's entirely possible the same thing is happening here. People are wasted as they're walking around. And on top of that, there's this lack of consideration for anyone except self. I mean, we've become a narcissistic society, and the narcissistic drips who wander the streets, eyes glued to their phones, expecting everyone else to watch out for them. There is zero personal responsibility. And if one of these zombies happens to bump into you, watch out. These entitled brats who just only follow technology have a very foul mouth on them too. And while I know many of you will say, this is just a little snapshot, Corey, it's not all like this, I accept that. But I have to say, it doesn't actually paint a pretty picture, particularly when you think many of the people I'm referring to now are young people. They're our future. And everything seems to be about self-gratification. I'm doing it because I want to. And why should I give a hoot about anyone else, is the attitude I detect. But that attitude is why we've got more porn perverts than ever before. It's why there are more broken families, more hardened hearts, and more messed up minds. Believe it or not, it's all a result of a decades-long leftist-led social experiment that's actually left our society dumber and more dysfunctional. Perhaps that was their intent.
And the word lawlessness means basically disregard of God's law. The idea that God is God and that God has a moral and ethical standard that he expects mankind to be governed by. Excuse me, a kind of amorality based upon man being the center of his universe. It's the idea of humanism. That humanism essentially asserts that man is the center of all things. We are the definer, the decider of what's good and right, which is increasingly becoming the underlying philosophical foundation of our world. And he says that's what this idea of the man of lawlessness, he'll be this one who's saying, you don't have to regard God. God is no longer a pertinent factor because in a sense we all are God in our own very, very little way. But he says that man will be revealed, the one who will be the forefront, the poster child, if you will, of this whole concept. And he says he's a man who is doomed to destruction. But he will oppose and exalt himself over everything that is called God or is worshipped, so that he sets himself up in God's temple, proclaiming himself to be God.
But first tonight, I do spend a lot of time thinking about the state of the world we live in. Maybe you do too. But for me, it's not so much about politics, because it's pretty clear the Western world has the worst crop of political leaders in modern history. Trudeau, Ardern, Biden, Macron. We've just said goodbye to Scott Morrison and Boris Johnson. It's hard to imagine a more useless bunch that have actually led us into a pit of despair. You might not think we're there yet, but I'm telling you, the pit has been dug and they're trying to push us into it.
That even though I may not be able to say exactly how something is going to be fulfilled, there are so many things that are coming to pass, as I said before, that are so close to what the Bible describes that I'm kind of stunned by what I'm reading in the world around me.
And that's very hard for a lot of people.
I want to read a few different quotes from your book and kind of get your reaction to each. But you wrote, I am alone. I mean, I live in a big house, play to big crowds, live a big, full life. But end of the day, it sometimes feels my life is empty.
Goals are lovely to have, but the more goals you have, when you achieve them, then you want more goals, then you want more goals, and then you want more goals. You're trying to fulfill an ego that will never be filled.
But it does say something about the human condition, you know. It says that, here's an example of a man that had every dream and aspiration, every resource to do it, and achieved those things. Had every opportunity in the world to be happy, but then ended up one of the most lonely, sad human beings I've ever heard of. So it says something about the human condition, certainly.
What I find sometimes in society right now, what's happening is we're really sterilizing all experiences in life. In the internet and social media and all these things are wonderful tools, but it also is sometimes taking away the humanity from us.
You know, because you have this, I think there's this new society kind of forming, you know, within the social media and the images that people create for others online, and they become those images. And they're not very sincere.
Right, right.
You know what I mean? You like meet people and there's like a whole another person there, and you become that guy. You can't help it, but you become that guy. You don't really have anything valuable, honorable, because you do everything for validation.
Right.
So your intention is not real. That's not you. You're not truly expressing yourself. You're expressing what other people expect from you, what they want.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm falling down into that spectrum as well.
How do you think success affects you?
Success is a very subjective word. I mean, most people, when they think of success, they think about money. Like, how much money did you make? That is absolutely not the right way to think about success.
Because, dude, you're so used to just one way of thinking, and they're feeding you this thing every single day: the fucking career, the job, the fucking education, the fucking bills, the fucking taxes, all this stuff. Just do it. And you become this fucking rat. You're just fucking going through this life. You just you don't know what the fuck. You're just rushing to the job, you know. So you gotta take care of your bills, and you don't stop and think. Okay, hold on.
Right.
What's the fucking purpose of this whole thing? What am I fucking doing with my life? Like, is it this 90 years to just fucking do this and then the pension, and you're not truly aware of who you are, where you're going, what's the existence of yours, you know what I'm saying?
just recently in Newport Beach, I was like bawling my eyes out. Playing.
What?
Just like, you just go down the web hole of like how every moment matters. And it makes me think about my mom. Every moment with her matters. It makes me think about my friends that have passed away. And those moments matter because when they're gone forever. So you better just give 100%. Love what you're doing, where you're at. Because after that moment's gone, it's gone.
What about it touches you so much now?
Because I have people in my life that have gone away that I love. And I miss them so much. Every moment you have with people you care about, you better give me your 100% of your time. And there, all the times when I didn't, I feel awful. Life is short because it goes so fast. It goes so fast, and then it's gone, and people go away forever. Yeah, there's no doubt that as I've been doing this longer, you gain more wisdom and into why. Why do you do all this?
What's something you once took for granted that you value now?
Time.
Nice, good answer. Question number 3. What's the one question you ask yourself the most?
Is this for real?
Nice. And that can work in so many ways. I love that. If you could create a law that the whole world had to follow, what would it be?
If I could create a law.
A law, yeah, an actual law that everyone had to follow, like a law, yeah.
Yeah. But there was one law, seriously, that if we could...
That you could instate that everyone would have to follow, yeah.
You have to love yourself first.
True love is not unkind. I know that true love is compassionate. True love is not always easy.
That's for sure.
Right? But it's not cruel. And ego has no place. So that's what I know it's not.